Hi everyone, this is Ramalinga Prasad Kuppa. Welcome to my channel, Pharma World. Today's topic is Section 2, the warehousing area as per Schedule M. This section of Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1940, Rules 1945, prescribes detailed requirements in Part 1 of the Schedule M in subsection 2.1 to 2.12. Section 7 of ICH Q7 Material Management and Subpart E Control of Components and Drug Product Containers and Closures also have similar prescriptions. Let us understand the intent of each subsection of Schedule M. Section 2.1 and 2.2 Adequate areas shall be designed to allow sufficient and orderly warehousing of various categories of materials and products like starting and packaging materials, intermediates, bulk and finished products, products in quarantine, released, rejected, returned, or recalled, machine and equipment spare parts, and change items. Adequate area means sufficient moving space around the stored materials for handling, cleaning, and to protect them from contamination from other sources. Orderly means that the materials should be stored in such a way, in sequence, that the sampling and dispensing of materials for further use could be done effectively for all the listed items. You can see that there is a requirement to have such arrangements for machine and equipment spare parts also. This is the prescription of subsection 2.1. Warehousing areas shall be designed and adapted to ensure good storage conditions. They shall be clean, dry, and maintained within acceptable temperature limits. Where special storage conditions are required, example temperature, humidity, these shall be provided, monitored, and recorded. Storage areas shall have appropriate housekeeping and rodent, pest, and vermin control procedures and records maintained. Proper racks, bins, and platforms shall be provided for the storage of materials. Section 2.2 talks about the design of the warehouse in terms of good storage conditions. Good storage means that there should not be any deterioration in the quality of the material stored in the warehouse beyond the specifications. The material should be suitable for the entire storage period. The warehouse should be constructed at an adequate level from the ground level with a provision to protect against any rainwater entering into the warehouse accidentally. Controlled and semi-controlled storage areas may be designed to store the input materials appropriately. Certain materials are sensitive to higher amounts of atmospheric wetness or humidity. Generally, not more than 60% relative humidity is required to be maintained for many hygroscopic material storages. Such critical storage areas should be well maintained with regular housekeeping procedures, including rodent and insect control systems. Records are the only objective evidence for the activity performed. This is the basic requirement to comply with the GMP. Racks and bins are the best way to segregate and protect the materials from degradation. Subsection 2.3, 2.4 and 2.5, receiving and dispatch base, shall protect materials and products from adverse weather conditions. This point should be understood that there should be adequate shaded protection at the material receiving and dispatch base to ensure that the materials are not exposed and get contaminated by any adverse atmospheric conditions like rain. This is the prescription of subsection 2.3, where quarantine status is ensured by warehousing in separate earmarked areas in the same warehouse or store. These areas shall be clearly demarcated. Any system replacing the physical quarantine shall give equivalent assurance of segregation. Access to these areas shall be restricted by authorized persons. Subsection 2.4 should be understood well. Areas designated for quarantine under test approved should be clearly identified by separate base. Generally, noticeable yellow colored or green colored bands are painted to clearly identify the areas for indicating the status of the materials. The option of a system replacing the physical quarantine under test approved is very logical when using very large amounts of input materials in tons. For example, if the received material is in tons and in large number of containers, it is unproductive and not practical to store them in quarantine when received and shift the entire consignment to approved area after approval. There can be a floating quarantine approved system. In such cases, the entire consignment is identified with a conspicuous yellow rope when it is in quarantine status and replace the yellow rope with a green rope after QC approval. The SOP for such floating system should be described in clear terms without any ambiguity. Warehouses should always be controlled with restricted access. This is GMP requirements to avoid misuse of materials in manufacturing. There shall be separate sampling area in the warehousing area for active materials and excipients. If sampling is performed in any other area, it shall be conducted in such a way as to prevent contamination, cross contamination, and mix up. It is the recommended procedure. There should be a separate sampling area for material evaluation. If there is no separate sampling area, obviously the sampling area should protect from contamination. This is the prescription of subsection 2.5. Subsection 2.6 and 2.7. Segregation shall be provided for the storage of rejected, recalled, or returned materials or products. Such areas, materials, or products shall be suitably marked and secured. Access to these areas and materials shall be restricted. The floating system, as described in subsection 2.4 above, is not acceptable for these materials. There should be separate areas restricted under the lock and key system. This is the prescription of Subsection 2.6. Highly hazardous, poisonous, and explosive materials such as narcotics, psychotropic drugs, and substances presenting potential risks of abuse, fire, or explosion shall be stored in safe and secure areas. Adequate fire protection measures shall be provided in conformity with the rules of the concerned civic authorities. All necessary safety precautions, antidotes for poisonous materials, adequate firefighting equipment should be in place to handle and store such materials. Also, it is necessary to comply with the local statutory requirements. This is a mandatory requirement. This is the subsection 2.7 prescription. Subsection 2.8, 2.9, and 2.10. Printed packaging materials shall be stored in safe, separate, and secure areas. Printed packaging materials will have details of batch number, manufacturing date, expiry date, etc. for a specific batch. Such printed packaging materials are like signed off blank checks. If not controlled safely, it can be misused and may have detrimental effect on the drug product or API. It is also necessary to store batch-wise to avoid mix-ups. This is different from the blank packaging material storage. This is the prescription of subsection 2.8. Separate dispensing areas for beta-lactam, sex hormones, and cytotoxic substances or any such special categories of products shall be provided with proper supply of filtered air and suitable measures for dust control to avoid contamination. Such areas shall be under differential pressure. These listed products are highly sensitive and potent drugs, even at a very low dosage. Dedicated air handling systems are recommended for manufacture of such products. Pressure differentials are very important for each area of manufacturing, granulation, drying, blending, sifting, packing, storage. Detailed WHO guidelines are available for understanding on the requirements of effective HVAC systems. There should be a clear understanding on various types of controls. Sink airlocks, bubble airlocks, cascade airlocks, etc. should be designed based on the knowledge of the product characteristics. This is subsection 2.9 requirement. Sampling and dispensing of sterile materials shall be conducted under aseptic conditions conforming to grade A, which can also be performed in dedicated area within the manufacturing facility. Grade A is class 100 category. This is required for aseptic product manufacturing. Background classes can be grade B or grade C or even grade D. All these air classifications are detailed in the section 3 of part 1A of schedule M. It should be designed based on a risk assessment report. This is what subsection 2.10 says. Subsection 2.11 and 2.12. Regular checks shall be made to ensure adequate steps are taken against spillage, breakage, and leakage of containers. This is important. The warehouse should be maintained neat and clean. There should be a system to clean up or salvage any leakages from the containers. FIFO system may be deviated occasionally with justification for handling of such leaked containers to use in manufacturing to avoid further leakage from damaged containers. Rodent treatments, pest control should be done regularly and at least once in a year and record maintained. Pest control activities should be monitored for effectiveness. If required, the frequency and types of insecticides or rodenticides may be changed for better results. The aim should be to maintain a rodent free and insect free warehouse and not just for the purpose of record maintenance. I hope the explanation of the subsections of section 2 are well understood. Check whether these points are covered in your warehouse management system and procedures. Thanks for watching. For more videos, please do subscribe, like, and share. Also, please leave a message in the comments box for any further support. Thank you.